Fortnite can be a very fun and amazing game to play. However, there are still tons of things in the game that can make players hate the game a lot. So in this video, I'll be talking about 5 things majority of Fortnite players hate. Starting with number 1, getting attacked and shot at while in the storm, either by players in the storm or even by players just outside the storm, which is even worse, since the opponent has the upper hand in that situation. Now, the reason this is super annoying when this happens to you is because you're already taking quite a bit of damage from the storm, so in these situations, you'll most likely be focusing on getting out of the storm. Therefore, when another player takes shots at you, the chances are it'll be more unexpected to you, making it that much more deadly. And this isn't even mentioning the fact that you have to be focusing on more than one thing at a time, which makes your chance of survival less likely. And it's even more annoying when the opponent doesn't let you heal up, which is what happens in most cases, causing you to get eliminated. Because if you were just in the storm and you wasn't getting shot by another player, then you would have had the opportunity to heal up in the storm if you had any healables, which would allow you to make it to the zone and survive past storm. So yeah, I'll definitely recommend staying away from other players when you're in the storm, especially if the other players are already in zone and you're not, and definitely avoid other players if you're also low on health until you can manage to heal up. And number 2, we have running out of building materials in the middle of a gunfight, especially when you know you could have won the gunfight if you had more building materials. Now, when you're busy in the middle of an intense gunfight, you tend not to look at how many building materials you have left because you're so focused on the gunfight, meaning that if you get put into a situation where you would normally build to protect yourself in any way, but you don't have any materials to build, it can end up making you lose that gunfight, since now the opponent will have a huge advantage over you, making your chances of survival and winning that gunfight near to none, and even less likely to be able to eliminate your opponent. So my advice to avoid this from happening to you would be to have a quick look at how much building materials you have at the start of a battle, frequently checking how much building materials you have in the middle of a gunfight, and checking at the end of a fight if needed. And by doing so, hopefully you'll be able to avoid this annoying thing from happening to you. Coming in at number 3 is when you don't have any healables and you're either already stuck in storm or the storm is just about to arrive to where you are, which by finding some healables, you will have been able to survive past the storm and be able to make it into the zone. However, you end up not finding any healables, which ends up eliminating you. Now, this is more annoying when this happens to you early in the match, since it makes you feel like the match was a waste of your time. It can also be very annoying when this ends up happening to you when you have amazing loot on you, since it makes all your efforts feel like a waste of time. And hopefully you don't experience this in your match, because it's very unlucky. At number 4, we have the constant spread of fire, which ends up damaging you repeatedly, and this is mainly started by the throwing of firefly jars, shots from fire bows, and there are probably some other ones as well. So yeah, the spreading of fire can be super annoying to deal with, especially if you're in a building that is mainly built up of wood or you are using wood to build, since fire ends up spreading much more fast on materials made of wood. Now, the reason this is super annoying is that it can stop you from building away from your opponent to get to safety, especially if you're using wood to build, and most of the time you will be, since it's the easiest and most common material to get. Now, if the opponent is trying to shoot at you at the same time as the fire spreads, which in most cases that would be their tactic, because there'll be more than one thing able to damage you at the same time, and in most cases it can render you building as quite useless unless you're using metal or brick, which you won't be majority of the time. And this is even more annoying because it can stop you from healing in any place the fire may spread, which means you would have to get away from the area the fire is spreading to be able to heal up, which makes it even longer to be able to heal up. And in that time before you get to heal up, the opponent might be able to eliminate you, which will definitely be really frustrating. So in these situations, try avoid standing at a place that the fire will most likely spread to. And if you have any metal or brick, using it in this scenario can be super useful to counter it. Coming in at number 5 is occasionally doing super low damage with shotguns. Now, when you're relatively far away from your opponent, it mostly makes sense why you're doing so little damage. However, even when you're close to your opponent, there'll be some times where you still end up doing super low damage. Now, this could be because your shots aren't accurate enough, since the closer the opponent is to your crosshair when you take a shot, usually you'll end up doing more damage, since more of your shotgun pellets will hit your opponent. However, the reason this is really annoying is because you can still end up doing low damage with a shotgun, even when you're close to your opponent, and you end up getting a headshot, since it also ends up not being as satisfying when getting a headshot on your opponent with a shotgun. So yeah, my advice to avoid this is to be as close as possible to your opponent while taking shotgun shots at your opponent, and to try and keep your crosshairs controlled as possible and keeping the opponent close to the middle of your crosshair. But yeah, it is likely that this has happened to you quite a lot, and the 5th one's definitely one all Fortnite players hate and have experienced it quite a lot. If you found the video relatable and enjoyable, do consider subscribing to the channel and turn on the notification bell to never miss out on any new amazing videos I upload. And if you're struggling to level up in Fortnite Chapter 4, click onto the video on the screen right now, and it'll teach you tons of tips and methods to help you level up fast in Fortnite Chapter 4. And if you haven't dropped a like on the video yet, feel free to do so now. But anyways, thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time.